There is a moment in everyone's life where the world feels like it's pressing down on you, where the dreams that once brought you hope now seem too far away, almost unreachable. You know that feeling, right? Maybe you're feeling it now, that invisible weight, that nagging voice telling you that you're not enough, that you don't have what it takes. Let me tell you something profound. The greatest battle you will ever fight is not with the world outside, but with the enemy within. I want you to imagine, just for a moment, that you're looking in the mirror. What do you see? Not just your reflection. Look deeper. Beneath the surface, what stories have you told yourself about who you are and what you're capable of? Are they stories of power and passion, or stories of limitation, fear, and regret? Here's the reality. Every single one of us builds invisible walls inside ourselves. We create these barriers from past disappointments, rejections, failures, and the voices of others who told us we couldn't or shouldn't reach for more. These walls, they shape our beliefs, and those beliefs shape the quality of our lives. But here's the thing. You have the power to tear down those walls. Let me share with you a story. Years ago, I met a young woman, bright, driven, overflowing with potential. Yet she felt paralyzed, trapped by doubt and anxiety, afraid to take the next step in her career and in her life. When we talked, her words were filled with, "I can't. I'm not ready. I don't deserve it." Sound familiar? Maybe you've said those things to yourself before. We dug deeper. It wasn't the world holding her back. It was her own self-imposed limitations. Her fear of failure had become so intense that she'd convinced herself she was better off never trying at all. She was her own jailer, holding the keys to her freedom in her own hands, but too afraid to use them. What changed everything for her wasn't some external opportunity or sudden stroke of luck. It was the moment she decided to fight the battle within. She realized that the voice in her head that told her she was unworthy wasn't the truth. It was just a habit, a pattern, a story she'd been telling herself. And stories, my friends, can be rewritten. Now I know, changing the story within isn't easy. The enemy within is clever, persistent. Sometimes it disguises itself as fact, disguises itself as certainty. You're too old, it says. You're too young. You messed up too badly. It's too late for you. But let me ask you, who decided those were facts? Who gave those voices their power? You did. But just as you built those beliefs, you can choose to build new ones that serve you, that empower you, that fuel you forward. The truth about self-mastery, about overcoming yourself, is that it begins and ends with one word: decision. The biggest transformation of your life will happen the moment you decide that you are bigger than your fear, stronger than your excuses, more resilient than your setbacks. It happens the moment you decide that your dreams are worth fighting for, even if the path ahead looks uncertain. Every great achiever, every world changer, every inspiring story you've ever heard began with someone who chose to step into the arena, not because they were without fear or self-doubt, but because they decided that those feelings wouldn't control their destiny. The enemy within, the critic, the saboteur, that fearful voice, never completely disappears. But you don't have to let it drive your life anymore. Let's talk about the tools. How do you overcome yourself? How do you silence the enemy within and become who you're meant to be? It begins with awareness. Notice when your inner critic pipes up. Pay attention to the moments when you shrink back, when you start telling yourself stories about what you can't do. Don't judge yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Just notice, because awareness is the first step toward change. Next, take a breath and ask yourself, where did these beliefs come from? Were you born with them, or did you learn them? Did someone else put those doubts in your mind, or did you pick them up somewhere along the way? You see, when you realize that these beliefs aren't facts, just learned habits, you reclaim your power to change them. One of the simplest, most powerful tools I've shared with people all over the world is this. When you catch yourself saying, "I can't," turn that into a question. Ask yourself, how can I? What could I learn that would make this possible? Who could I become if I didn't let fear stop me? The language you use with yourself shapes your reality. Change your words, and you begin to change your life. Now, I want you to do something for yourself. Think about a challenge you're facing right now. Maybe it's in your health, your relationships, your finances, your career. What does the voice inside you say when you think about taking action? Does it lift you up, or does it pull you down? For most people, that inner voice is not their cheerleader. It's their loudest critic. But here's the secret. You can train that voice. You can teach it to become your coach, to remind you of your strength, your resilience, your capacity to rebound and learn and grow. It starts with the stories you repeat. Instead of focusing on your limitations, focus on your possibilities. Instead of, what if I fail? Ask, what if I soar? What if I shatter even my own expectations? Let me tell you about another person I had the privilege to work with. A man who, after decades in a corporate job, faced redundancy. He was devastated. For months, he spiraled down, convinced that he was too old, that his skills were outdated, that nobody would want someone like him in this new world. That was his enemy within, a story of scarcity, of endings, of irrelevance. We worked together, and little by little he started to chip away at that story. He remembered times in his life when he took risks and succeeded, when he learned new things, when he started over and triumphed. That wasn't just a memory. It was proof. Proof that the voice inside could be wrong. Armed with a new belief, he reimagined what was possible for his life. He launched his own business, something he'd dreamed of for years but never had the courage to try. And with each step, his inner critic grew quieter, drowned out by the roar of new possibilities. That's the journey for you, for me, for all of us. The enemy within is only as strong as we allow it to be. The moment you catch that voice telling you to shrink, to hide, to settle for less, pause, take a breath, smile even, and then take action anyway, even if it's one tiny, trembling step. You see, courage isn't the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward in spite of it. Self-mastery isn't about slaying some dragon outside of you. It's about reclaiming the reins of your own mind, your own heart, your own story. It happens in the choices you make every single day. What you focus on, what you believe, what you tell yourself is possible. What would your life look like if, starting today, you decided that you were no longer at war with yourself? What if the energy you spent criticizing, doubting, and second-guessing was instead invested in growth, learning, and bold action? How much more could you achieve, create, and experience? Understand this. You are not a prisoner of your past. You are not the sum total of your doubts or your fears. You are the author of your life, and you hold the pen right now. The chapters behind you, they offer lessons, yes, but they don't get to dictate the ending. The blank pages ahead are yours to write. Remember, the enemy within can only win if you give up control. But the moment you step up, acknowledge that doubt, and act from faith and courage instead, you diminish its power. And every single time you do that, every time you push against your limitations, you grow. Your confidence grows, your courage grows, your impact grows. Let's talk about rituals, because the path to self-mastery, to overcoming yourself, is built on what you do consistently, not occasionally. What if every day you started with a simple ritual, just 10 minutes to remind yourself who you truly are, what you stand for, and why you will persist? Read something inspiring, reflect on your strengths, declare your commitment to growth. Pair that with action. Don't wait for the fear to disappear, for the doubts to evaporate. Move forward, imperfectly, boldly. Action is the antidote to fear. With every step you take, you collect new evidence that you are stronger, braver, more capable than the enemy within would have you believe. There will be setbacks. There will be moments when the old stories come flooding back, moments when you stumble or falter. That's all part of the process. Real growth is not linear. It's messy, unpredictable, full of highs and lows. But in every low, you learn something new about yourself. Your resilience, your ability to bounce back, your determination to keep going. Let me remind you, the only limits that matter are the ones you accept. The only failure that counts is the failure to try. The only critic that really matters is the one you choose to listen to, so choose wisely. I want you to think back to the person you were 5, 10, even 20 years ago. What seemed impossible then that you now take for granted? What limits have you already shattered? What fears have you already overcome? That's evidence that you can do it again and again. There is incredible power in your story, but you must choose to write it consciously. Don't let your life be a series of almosts, of what-ifs, of shackles forged by the enemy within. Let your life be a testimony to courage, to possibility, to the relentless pursuit of growth and fulfillment. So I invite you, right here, right now, to make a decision. Decide that you will no longer be driven by your fears. Decide that your life matters too much to be surrendered to the enemy within. Decide that your best days are ahead of you, not behind you. And then, little by little, step into that future you deserve. Your greatness does not come from living a life free of self-doubt. It comes from rising every single time you're tempted to give in to it. You are not your mistakes, your setbacks, or your fears. You are the one who chooses, again and again, to rise. And know this, you don't have to walk this path alone. Surround yourself with people who believe in you, who challenge you, who see your potential even when you forget it. Seek out mentors, friends, communities that remind you of what's possible. And just as importantly, become that person for someone else. The enemy within is strong, but your spirit, the part of you that longs for more, that strives for growth, that dreams, your spirit is stronger still. Feed that part of yourself. Every time you get up one more time than you're knocked down, every time you speak kindly to yourself, every time you dare to act in spite of fear, you starve that inner enemy, and you claim more and more of your life as your own. So tomorrow, or even later today, when the familiar voice of self-doubt rises up, because it will, meet it with a new resolve. Smile at it. Welcome it, because it means you're growing. You're stepping into new territory, and then keep moving forward anyway. Because the truth is this, your biggest enemy is always within, but so is your greatest ally. The same mind that can create fear can build faith. The same heart that knows doubt can learn courage. The same life that felt limited can erupt with possibility the moment you choose differently. If you only remember one thing from all of this, let it be this. You are the master of your fate. The real work, the hardest work, happens not on the outside, but inside, in the silent daily battles to believe in yourself, to silence your doubts, and to turn your dreams into reality. So take up the challenge. Make a decision right now to rewrite those inner stories, to become your greatest supporter, your fiercest advocate, your own champion. The world is waiting for what only you can bring. On the other side of your fears, on the other side of the enemy within, is a life of meaning, impact, and fulfillment. That life is yours if you're willing to fight for it, starting within. So rise, and keep rising, not just for yourself, but for everyone whose lives you will touch. Overcome yourself, because when you do, you unlock the door to everything you truly desire. The enemy within loses every time you choose to believe, to act, and to persist. Your story is still unfolding. Write it with courage. Write it with love. Write it with the unwavering belief that you were born not to be held back by the enemy within, but to rise, to lead, and to inspire. The world is waiting for you. Now go. The greatest victory is yours to claim, and it begins the moment you decide to overcome yourself. If this message spoke to you, if it reminded you that your greatest battle is the one within, then take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who's fighting their own silent war, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories that awaken your inner strength. Because your journey isn't over, it's just beginning, one brave step at a time.